Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Coastal Vibes. Tonight, we'll drift beside the quiet paths of the world's rivers, gentle streams of time and life that have carved the land, shaped our stories, and taught us how to flow. Let the steady rhythm of water guide your thoughts downstream, until all that remains is calm. If you enjoy these sleepy journeys, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, or share it with a friend who could use a little peace tonight. It truly helps others find their way here, to this small, quiet corner of calm we're building together. For now, let everything else go. Find a comfortable place to rest. Let your shoulders soften. Close your eyes and allow your mind to drift like a leaf carried by a gentle current. As we begin tonight's story, every river begins as a single drop. It might fall from a passing cloud, melt from ancient ice, or rise from deep underground. But somewhere, quietly, movement begins. A single droplet joins another, and another still. Tiny threads of water weave together until they find a path. They begin to flow. This is how all rivers are born, not in noise or rush, but in stillness, in patience, in the steady work of time. If you were standing at the very beginning of one, it wouldn't look like a river yet. It would look like a narrow line of silver winding through moss or snow. The sound would be soft, like distant whispering. The air around it would be cool, filled with the scent of wet earth and stone. And yet, from that quiet place, a journey begins that may stretch thousands of miles. Rivers are the planet's veins, carrying life, shaping land, and linking worlds together. But every one of them, no matter how mighty, begins humbly. From mountain peaks and glaciers to hidden forest springs, they all start as something small enough to step over. The Nile begins as trickles high in the hills of Burundi. The Mississippi rises quietly from Lake Itasca in northern Minnesota. Even the Amazon, the world's greatest river, begins as a trickle in the Peruvian Andes, a single thread of meltwater that will someday carry 1/5 of all the fresh water flowing to the world's oceans. It's humbling to think that something so vast begins with a single drop. The same law that guides a river's path, gravity pulling water from high to low, is what sculpts mountains, shapes valleys, and sustains forests. The water is never lost. It simply moves, endlessly, patiently, always returning to itself. If you follow a young river upstream, you'll notice how alive the landscape feels. The ground is damp and spongy beneath your feet, rich with mosses and ferns. The water is clear enough to see every stone, each one rounded smooth by years of flow. Tiny ripples catch the light like silver thread. Here, the river is restless, full of purpose, eager to move. It tumbles over rocks, carves its bed through soil, and whispers secrets only the earth can hear. Scientists call these first moments the headwaters. They are the river's birthplace, the small network of springs and tributaries that merge into one continuous stream. The word tributary comes from the Latin tributarius, meaning to give. And that's what rivers do. Each small stream gives itself to something larger, surrendering identity for unity. There's a lesson in that. No drop of water ever flows alone, and every contribution, no matter how small, becomes part of something greater. Up here near the source, the water is pure. It carries minerals from stone, nutrients from soil, and oxygen from the air. It's cold, so cold it almost sings when it touches skin. If you listen closely, you might hear the first notes of a melody the river will carry its whole life. It's a song written by movement, the hush of current against rock, the flutter of water over roots, the faint hum of distance waiting to be reached. Rivers move because the world turns and tilts and breathes. Each raindrop that joins a river is part of the water cycle, rising as vapor, cooling into cloud, falling as rain, flowing as stream. The water you might hear now, rushing softly over pebbles, could have once been snow on a glacier 100 years ago, or mist from an ocean half a world away. Every molecule in a river has traveled farther than we ever could. And yet, the river never hurries. It knows that what matters isn't how fast it moves, but that it moves at all. That's one of the most beautiful truths about rivers. They remind us that progress can be quiet, that movement can be steady and kind. You can almost picture a drop of rain landing high in the mountains. It falls on a rock, slides into a hollow, and joins another drop. It gathers speed, tumbles down through snow and soil, joins a trickle, and then a stream. Soon it's part of a river that winds through forests, through towns, through entire countries, all the way to the sea. A journey that began in silence becomes a connection that sustains the world. There are more than 165 major rivers on Earth, and countless smaller ones that branch and weave like threads of lace. Together, they cover nearly 500,000 miles, long enough to circle the planet 20 times. They cross borders, feed billions of people, and give shape to our civilizations. The earliest human settlements formed beside rivers for their water, their food, and their promise of travel. Even today, most of our cities trace their lines. The Seine through Paris, the Thames through London, the Hudson through New York. We've built our stories on their banks because something in their flow feels eternal, something familiar, like the rhythm of our own heartbeat. And perhaps that's why listening to rivers is so calming. Their sound carries the same pattern our minds crave when we rest: continuous, gentle repetition. Studies show that the sound of running water can lower blood pressure, ease anxiety, and slow the pulse. It's nature's lullaby, tuned perfectly to the human heart. As the river gathers strength, its song deepens. It's no longer the whisper of mountain springs, but a low, soothing current weaving through open land. The water reflects more light now, sunlight by day, moonlight by night, shimmering and shifting like liquid glass. You can imagine standing on the bank, watching it move. Never the same water twice, yet always the same river. Here at the source, everything is simple. The air is cool, the world is quiet, and movement feels like peace. It's a reminder that beginnings don't need to be loud to be powerful. All things, even the vastest oceans, start from small, unseen origins. And as you listen to the flow of water in your mind, you can feel it connecting with something inside you, the part that moves quietly, the part that grows without rushing. You are, in your own way, a river too, carrying experiences, shaping paths, finding your way to something larger. So breathe in. Let the air fill your chest the way rain fills a spring. And exhale slowly, a gentle release, like water meeting gravity. The river continues on now, gathering strength, curving gracefully toward the wide valleys below. Its surface glimmers beneath the fading light, its voice deepening, steady and sure. Tomorrow, it will pass through forests, carve canyons, and cradle life wherever it goes. But tonight, it simply flows, softly, endlessly, toward the promise of the sea. The river that began as a handful of clear springs has found its rhythm now. The ground beneath it has widened, its voice deepened, and it travels with the quiet certainty of something that knows where it's going. You can hear that steadiness if you listen, an easy, repeating sound, like breathing drawn out over miles. Every river is a traveler. It moves through mountains and forests, across plains and cities, carving its own path inch by inch. The same water that once ran over cold stone in the highlands now slides past willow roots and smooth banks of sand. Gravity is its compass, patience its strength. As it flows, the river reshapes the land. It cuts channels through soft soil, wears down rock into sand, and builds deltas where it meets the sea. The Grand Canyon began this way. Slow persistence, not force. Each ripple is a brushstroke, painting valleys and cliffs over millions of years. Where the current slows, the river bends. Those curves are called meanders, soft S-shapes that form as the water nibbles at one bank and deposits silt on the other. Over centuries, these loops can close into oxbow lakes, crescent pools left behind like memories of the river's wandering thoughts. Rivers are Earth's long conversations with itself. They link mountains to oceans, forests to deserts, rain to tide. Through them, minerals travel, seeds scatter, and new soil forms. Every mouthful of food, every drop of water you drink, carries a trace of some ancient stream. You might picture the Nile winding through Egypt, spreading fertile silt across fields each spring. Or the Ganges, sacred and constant, sustaining millions who gather along its banks. The Yangtze curls through misty gorges. The Amazon braids itself into 1,000 green corridors before meeting the Atlantic. Different continents, different languages, yet the same song. When people first settled the world, they followed rivers. Water meant life, safety, and travel. Villages became towns, towns became cities. The Thames, the Seine, the Hudson, all were once wild currents, now lined with bridges and stories. Even today, when you stand beside one, a part of you remembers what it feels like to live by flowing water. If you could drift with the current now, you'd see reflections sliding past. Clouds, branches, maybe a single bird gliding low. The surface looks calm, but beneath it, the water is layered. Quick near the top, slower below, swirling around stones and roots. The movement never stops, it only changes speed. Rivers carry both clarity and silt, beauty and burden. After storms, they turn brown with soil, proof that they are sculptors still at work. When the floods recede, they leave behind fertile earth where new life begins. Creation and renewal in every cycle. Listen to how the sound shifts along its journey. Upstream it laughs and tumbles. Through the valley it murmurs. Across the plains it whispers in long, even tones. Scientists call this acoustic pattern pink noise, a blend of frequencies that naturally calms the brain. That's why the rush of water so easily slows your thoughts. It speaks in the language of rest. Imagine floating on your back in the middle of the current. The water holds you effortlessly. The banks slide by green and golden. Sunlight scatters in broken shards on the surface. Every motion beneath you is smooth and sure, older than memory. You're carried, not hurried, guided by something that knows the way. At night, the river changes character. Moonlight turns it to liquid glass. Fireflies drift above the reeds. The temperature drops, and a soft mist rises. You can almost see the stars reflected in the moving water, as if the heavens themselves are traveling downstream. The river teaches one simple lesson over and over. Movement and peace can coexist. You don't need to stand still to be still inside. The current keeps going, but it never forgets to flow gently, Every bend you pass, every ripple you hear, is a moment being carried forward. Some of that water will seep into the ground, join hidden aquifers, and rise again far away. Some will evaporate and return as rain. Nothing is lost, only transformed. As the river widens, it begins to share its gifts more freely. It feeds wetlands alive with birds, nourishes fields, cools forests, and becomes a path for migration. Even now, satellites can see its winding light across the night, silver ribbons stitched across the planet's dark fabric. Somewhere downstream, the river you follow will meet another. They'll merge seamlessly, neither one disappearing, both becoming something new. That's the quiet miracle of flow, unity without struggle. You rest on the bank and watch driftwood float by, slow, deliberate, unbothered by distance. The sound is constant, and in that constancy is comfort. It reminds you that everything has its rhythm, the breath, the tide, the turning of the world. So, take a slow breath now. Inhale, the way the river gathers itself from rain and snow. Exhale, the way it releases everything it carries. Let your thoughts move like that, steady, clear, unforced. The journey continues, always forward, always kind. The river does not ask the hills why they rise or the sea why it waits. It simply flows, content to be what it is. And somewhere beyond the horizon, its path widens still, preparing for what comes next. A meeting with life unseen, the quiet world beneath the surface, and finally, the great merging with the sea. But for now, just rest beside it. Listen to its voice. Let the steady rhythm of water carry you a little further downstream, toward the calm waiting in the distance. The river holds more than movement and sound. Beneath its calm surface, there is a world as alive and intricate as any forest or sky. You can't always see it, but it's there. A secret rhythm of fins, shells, roots and stones, each part flowing together in quiet harmony. If you could step beneath the water and drift with the current, you'd find colors where you expected only shadow. Greens and browns, silver flashes of light, moss-covered stones, and strands of plants swaying like slow dancers. The water itself glows faintly where sunlight filters through, bending and scattering until every particle seems to shimmer. Here, the river breathes. When it tumbles over rocks or twists through rapids, it pulls air into its depths. Tiny bubbles feed oxygen to the world below, sustaining every living thing, from microscopic plankton to fish that migrate thousands of miles. In every drop, life is carried. There are creatures you'd never notice unless you waited quietly. Small mayflies and dragonflies, whose young spend most of their lives underwater before emerging on warm summer evenings to shimmer in the air. Tiny snails graze on stones polished smooth by centuries of current. And somewhere in the gravel, fish eggs rest, waiting for the perfect balance of water and warmth to awaken. Rivers are nurseries for the world's great travelers. Salmon begin their lives in shallow, stony streams before swimming thousands of miles through oceans and back again to the same river where they were born. Eels make the reverse journey, leaving fresh water to cross entire seas. No one knows exactly how they find their way, only that something ancient guides them, the pull of the moon, perhaps, or the Earth's invisible magnetic field. Above the water, herons and kingfishers wait patiently. Otters slide along the banks, playful and quiet. Frogs call to one another from the reeds. Even trees depend on the river. Willows, cottonwoods, and poplars that anchor themselves near its edge, their roots drinking deeply. Some of their leaves fall into the water and feed insects below. Some shade the surface and cool it in summer. The river and the forest are bound together in a single gentle loop of giving. Scientists call this the riparian zone, the living border between land and stream. But words like that can't capture its softness, the way reeds bow when the current rises, or how the light changes color when filtered through leaves and water at once. It is a threshold where stillness meets movement, and the two become one. If you scoop a handful of river water and let it fall through your fingers, you're touching something ancient. The same molecules have existed for billions of years, traveling through clouds, mountains, plants, and every creature that's ever lived. Rivers remind us that life doesn't end or begin. It simply moves through forms. Long before science named these patterns, people felt them. Ancient cultures saw rivers as living beings, spirits that spoke through ripples and reflections. The Greeks believed each river had a god. The indigenous peoples of many lands still call them grandfathers or mothers. The Ganges is worshipped as sacred, not because of myth, but because of gratitude. Water is life, and rivers are its most visible gift. If you've ever sat beside a river and felt calm for reasons you couldn't explain, you've already heard its language. The sound of running water lowers the brain's stress signals, slowing the pulse and softening the mind's chatter. The rhythm of current and breath naturally align, an ancient connection between body and flow. And perhaps this is why so many stories begin beside rivers. They are both mirror and guide, showing us how to move, how to let go, how to return. When a river meets an obstacle, it doesn't stop. It bends, it swirls, it finds a new way forward. And over time, even the hardest stone softens beneath its persistence. You might think of all the life that depends on this patience. The plants that bloom along its banks, the animals that drink from its edge, even the insects that rise and fall with its changing mood. A river isn't just water. It's a pulse that connects every living thing it touches. At night, that hidden world changes. The fish rest in slower currents, tucked between rocks and roots. The surface grows still, reflecting the stars above. Insects hover just beyond sight, and somewhere far downstream, a beaver builds quietly, reshaping the water in small, deliberate ways. Everything moves at half speed, as though the world itself is exhaling. If you listen, you might hear the soft trickle of bubbles breaking the surface, the quiet evidence that life never really stops. Even in darkness, the river breathes. It's humbling to realize that while we sleep, the same water continues its journey, carrying nutrients, life, and the quiet hum of existence forward through the night. The current you hear now may one day become rain again, or snow, or a cloud drifting over mountains. What was once a drop becomes a wave, a mist, a reflection of moonlight. It's a reminder that everything, every heartbeat, every breath, is part of a greater cycle. So as you rest beside this river, let its rhythm match your own. Feel your breath moving in the same steady pattern, in like a rising tide, out like the gentle fall of current downstream. Let that rhythm fill you, smooth and unbroken. The river flows on, wide and calm now, carrying its quiet universe of life toward its meeting place with the sea. And though you can't see it, the world beneath that surface continues to shimmer, each life part of something vast, patient, and endlessly kind. The river widens now. Its voice is lower, slower, the soft baritone of something nearing home. The current that once tumbled over rocks now glides like glass. Every ripple feels deliberate, like a thought that's almost finished. The air smells faintly of salt, the first whisper of the sea. As you walk beside it, the banks flatten into open marshland. Grasses sway gently, bending with the faintest breath of wind. The horizon stretches wide, painted in pale blues and silvers. The river no longer rushes. It seems to know that there is nowhere left to go and no reason to hurry. This is the river's final journey, not an ending, but a return. All rivers, in their own time, find the sea. They release what they've carried: silt, stories, light, and dissolve into something greater. The river does not resist the ocean. It joins it with quiet grace. Here, the current divides into many smaller streams, weaving through wetlands alive with birds and reeds. These places are called deltas, where fresh water meets salt and where new worlds begin. Deltas are among the richest ecosystems on Earth. Every grain of sand the river brought from the mountains becomes a home for something living: reeds, crabs, fish, herons, and countless unseen forms that rely on this gentle collision of worlds. If you could watch from above, you'd see veins of silver spreading into the sea, each one carrying memory. The Amazon alone releases 3 million gallons of water into the Atlantic every second. The Ganges carries Himalayan snowmelt to the Bay of Bengal, feeding the lives of over 500 million people. The Nile, the Mississippi, the Mekong, each a bridge between mountain and ocean, sky and tide. Standing here, you realize the river's path has never been a straight line. It bends, pauses, and loops like breath itself. And even now, at the threshold of the sea, it keeps its rhythm, calm, unbroken, full of quiet strength. The water around you changes color, shifting from green to blue-gray as salt mingles with fresh. The scent is different now, earthy and vast. Waves roll in softly, their movement out of sync with the river's flow, yet somehow harmonious. The push and pull between them creates a steady pulse, the heartbeat of the earth. You kneel by the edge, letting your fingers drift through the cool surface. The water feels heavier here, thicker with life and time. A soft foam curls around your hand, and the river greets you with one last gentle current, as if saying farewell. You can feel its story within you: the mountain rain, the winding valleys, the hidden worlds beneath its surface, all now blending into one final moment of stillness. It's here, at this meeting of river and sea, that the greatest lesson reveals itself. The river's purpose was never to hold on. It was always to let go, to gather, to give, to return. Every turn of its journey has been preparation for this simple act of release. The sea welcomes it without judgment. No matter what the river carries, clear water, silt, or fallen leaves, it all becomes part of something vast and beautiful. The ocean never asks where the river has been. It only opens its arms and says, "You are home." You close your eyes and listen. The sound here is layered and soft. The hush of waves meeting current, the cry of distant gulls, the sigh of wind across water. It's not a single sound, but a harmony, a conversation between movement and rest. For a moment, you imagine what it would be like to become part of that flow, to dissolve into something larger, to let every thought and worry drift away. You feel it already happening in the rhythm of your breathing, the slow rise and fall that mirrors the tide. Inhale, the river flows in. Exhale, it returns to the sea. The sunlight begins to fade. The horizon glows gold, then peach, then deep blue. The first stars appear, scattered like reflections of the river's old self, fragments of light continuing their own journeys across the night. The air cools, and the sound of water becomes softer still, more distant, more dreamlike. You turn away from the shore and begin the slow walk back through the reeds. Behind you, the river and the sea continue their eternal dance. The sky above them mirrors their colors, silver melting into blue, blue dissolving into night. Everything feels whole. Somewhere upstream, new rain is falling, beginning another story. Another droplet joins a spring, a stream, a current. Life flows again. The river that reached the sea will rise once more as mist and cloud, only to fall as rain and start the journey anew. Nothing truly ends. It only changes form, always finding its way back. You stop and take one last look over your shoulder. The moon now rises over the water, pale and steady. Its reflection stretches across the sea, a single shining path that reaches from horizon to shore. The same moonlight glows faintly on the river behind you. Two worlds joined by one soft thread of light. You breathe deeply, feeling the cool air fill your chest. It carries the scent of salt, the promise of renewal. The water's song still lingers in your ears, a gentle echo of movement, of connection, of calm. And as your eyes grow heavier, you feel that same peace within yourself. You are part of the flow, part of something endless and kind. Like the river, you've traveled far tonight, and you've arrived where you were always meant to be. So rest now. Let your thoughts drift like water returning to the sea. Let every sound fade into stillness. And as you close your eyes, know that the river's rhythm continues, quietly, endlessly, carrying your dreams downstream into the great calm that waits beyond.